The wind howled through the broken stone arches of the ruined city. Dust blew in waves across the cracked plaza. Birds with sharp metallic feathers circled above the tall black statues of fallen kings. No one lived here anymore, at least not for centuries. But today, footsteps echoed again on the stone. A human walked into the heart of the dead city. His boots were cracked. His coat was torn. Dried blood stained his left sleeve. His name was Aaron, and he was supposed to be dead. From behind the shattered pillars, dozens of eyes watched. Tall figures with bronze-colored skin, braided hair, and golden armor stepped from the shadows. They had waited for this man. They had tracked him across deserts, jungles, and ash-covered plains. Now, they stood in a circle, 300 strong, each with a long, curved spear in hand. None spoke. None needed to. Aaron stopped at the center of the plaza. His chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. His hands were empty, hanging at his sides, but his eyes were calm. Even as the warriors surrounded him, even as the line tightened and the circle shrank, he did not flinch. "You came far," one of the warriors said. She stepped forward. Her armor was darker than the others, her spear heavier, and her voice, "Hold. But your journey ends here, human." Aaron looked up. The sun was setting. The light hit the statues in just the right way, casting long shadows across the ground. He raised his left hand slowly. "You think one hand will stop us?" The warrior growled. "No," Aaron said softly. "Not my hand." A faint glow appeared on his palm. At first it was barely visible, like a soft light beneath the skin. Then it grew brighter. It spread, crawling like fire across his hand, up his wrist, wrapping around his arm. Symbols began to glow. Strange ones, ancient ones, no longer spoken by any living race. The mark pulsed once, and the ground shivered. The warriors hesitated. Their grip on the spears tightened. "What trick is this?" Someone shouted. "Is this sorcery?" "No trick," Aaron replied, his voice still calm. "You were warned not to spill innocent blood in the valley of Valtar. You didn't listen." The lead warrior's eyes widened. She stared at the mark. Her lips trembled, just for a moment. "That's impossible," she whispered. The symbols on Aaron's skin blazed now like fire. The ground cracked beneath his feet. A wave of energy shot outward in all directions. Not a blast, not an attack, just pressure. Ancient power, awakened. The statues of fallen kings seemed to bow as the light touched them. One by one, the warriors dropped to their knees. Spears clattered to the ground. Some covered their eyes. Others whispered words in an old tongue, half prayer, half curse. "He bears the mark of the last light," one said. "That power was lost," another whispered. "Extinct." The lead warrior remained standing, but her arms shook. She looked around and saw her army kneeling, faces pressed to the dust. Then she looked back at Aaron. "What are you?" she asked. Aaron's eyes were distant, not cruel, not angry, only full of pain. "I didn't want this," he said. "But your leaders left me no choice." She dropped her spear. Far above, the birds scattered. A pulse echoed through the sky, like thunder. Something ancient had returned, something buried in forgotten history. The city, long dead, seemed to breathe again, and Aaron, marked by something older than any empire, stood alone in the center. They had come to kill him, but they had knelt instead. The warriors still knelt, silent and confused. Dust settled slowly, in the strange stillness. The plaza no longer felt like a battlefield. It felt like a memory that had awakened too soon. Aaron lowered his glowing hand. The symbols faded, but they did not vanish completely. A faint light still pulsed under his skin, like a heartbeat echoing through time. He walked forward, not with pride, not with anger, but with purpose. He stepped past the leader who had challenged him. She did not stop him. Her eyes followed him, full of doubt and fear. "Why does a human bear the mark of the ancients?" she asked, her voice barely louder than the wind. Aaron didn't answer. Not yet. He walked to the base of the tallest statue, an old king carved from black stone. His face was lost to time, but the crown still shone untouched by dust. At the king's feet, half buried in rubble, lay a round stone plate marked with the same symbols on Aaron's hand. He knelt before it, placed his palm over the center, and closed his eyes. The stone warmed. Then it lit up, just like his skin. The symbols came to life, spreading like veins across the ground in all directions. The whole city trembled. Ancient doors opened in the distance. The ground shifted. A deep hum rose from under the stone. Behind him, the warriors stood one by one. Some backed away, unsure whether to run or fight. Others stared at the glowing lines like they were seeing ghosts. "What is he doing?" someone asked. The lead warrior stepped forward, her voice stronger now. "He's opening the Hall of Judgment, but that place has been sealed since before our great-great-grandmothers were born. No one has touched the seal in thousands of cycles," said another. "It should be impossible." Aaron stood and turned to face them. His voice was tired, but steady. "I didn't ask for this," he said. "The mark chose me. Your elders knew it could return. They tried to erase it, but some things survive in blood, in memory, in ruins like this." The warriors exchanged uneasy looks. None moved. Aaron continued. "You were told a human would bring destruction, but they lied. It's not destruction I bring, it's judgment. Your people broke an oath your ancestors swore inside this city." The wind grew stronger. The statues seemed to hum with old voices. Something deep beneath the earth rumbled like a beast waking from sleep. The lead warrior raised her chin. "You speak like a god, but you bleed like a man." Aaron nodded. "I bled in your forests. I bled in your prisons. I bled when your soldiers slaughtered my crew. You thought I was just a lost outsider." "You are," she snapped. "Then why did your spears kneel?" he asked. She had no answer. The ground cracked again. A wide stone door opened behind the statue of the Black King. A tunnel led into darkness, pulsing with faint blue light. Aaron looked at it, then back at the warriors. "I'm going down there," he said. "If I don't return, seal it forever. If I do return, tell your people the truth." "What truth?" the lead warrior asked. Aaron stared at her, his face shadowed by the flickering light. "That the one you hunted was never the threat. But what sleeps beneath this city might be." Then he stepped into the tunnel alone, leaving the kneeling warriors behind. The door began to close. The door sealed behind him with a low grinding sound, locking the outside world away. Aaron stood in silence, his breath echoing faintly in the ancient tunnel. The air smelled of dust, old metal, and something strange, something almost electric. Blue light ran through the cracks in the stone walls, flickering gently like veins of a sleeping giant. He moved forward, footsteps slow and steady. The tunnel sloped downward, deeper into the earth. Strange carvings lined the walls, tall figures with glowing hands, symbols hovering between them, beasts crouching in the shadows. Some carvings were broken, others burned, as if someone had tried to erase the story long ago. Aaron paused at one wall. A figure with a glowing hand reached out toward a circle of warriors, who all bowed. The same mark glowed on the figure's palm. The same mark, now burned into his own skin. He touched the wall lightly. It was warm. He didn't understand the full story. Not yet. But something ancient had chosen him. Something older than memory, older than their war. The tunnel widened into a massive chamber, hidden beneath the city's foundation. It was round, with a high ceiling and massive stone thrones arranged in a circle. Some were cracked, others shattered. Only one remained whole, at the center of the room. Above it, suspended in air by invisible force, was a glowing crystal sphere. Inside it, something pulsed soft, slow, like a heartbeat. The light it gave off was the same color as the mark on his hand. He stepped forward. As he neared the center, the sphere reacted. The heartbeat inside it grew faster. Symbols flared to life across the floor, walls and ceiling. Then, a voice echoed through the chamber. "Bearer of the forgotten flame," it said. "You have Been judged. Aaron froze. The voice didn't sound human or alien. It sounded like 1,000 voices speaking at once. It was calm but heavy. I didn't ask for this, he said aloud. None ever do, the voice replied. But the flame chooses when the world forgets. And your world has forgotten everything. Aaron looked around. Who are you? We are not who, the voice said. We are memory. We are the seal. We are the ones who bound the darkness, here when the sky was still young. The room shuddered. A crack formed in the floor near one of the broken thrones. Aaron stepped back as something growled from deep below. What is sealed beneath this city? He asked. The fallen, the voice said. A being of fire and shadow. It once ruled worlds with cruelty. We bound it here with the blood of the last flame-bearer. But the chain weakens. War, bloodshed, and betrayal have fed the prison. Aaron clenched his fists. Your people hunted me because of this mark. They thought I was a threat. They feared your blood, the voice replied, because long ago it was one of your kind who sealed the fallen. You are not the first, but you may be the last. The crystal above him dimmed, then flared bright. The mark on his hand pulsed with it. What do I do? He asked. You awaken what sleeps, the voice said. You face it. If you fall, the world burns. A rumble shook the chamber. The crack widened. A dark mist began to rise from it, thick and cold. A second voice whispered through the mist. Not many voices, but one, slow, cruel, deep. I smell the mark, it said. I smell the last spark. Aaron turned to face the growing shadow. His heart pounded. The ground beneath his feet felt hot. The test had begun. The ground trembled beneath Aaron's boots. The crack in the chamber floor split wider with a loud groaning sound. From the darkness below, the mist grew thicker, rising like smoke, but colder than ice. Aaron could see. Nothing inside it, but he felt the presence, heavy, ancient, watching. The second voice echoed again. It didn't shout. It didn't need to. You come wearing the flame, it said. You come to die like the others. Aaron took a step back as black tendrils of mist snaked across the ground toward him. The mark on his hand flared brighter. In response, lines of fire crawling up his arm again, casting pale light into the growing gloom. I don't even know what you are, he said, steadying his breath. I am the first, the voice replied. The one your kind betrayed. The one they chained here in silence while your weak empires rose and fell. From the crack something emerged. Massive, slow, and coiled in shadow. A hand, long and clawed, dragged itself onto the chamber floor. Its skin was not flesh, but stone burned black by fire. Behind it came a face, skull-like, with burning eyes and a jaw that seemed to shift and melt like smoke. Aaron instinctively raised his hand, and a wave of energy burst from the mark, slamming into the creature. The light burned away the nearest mist, forcing the dark figure to pull back. A flicker, the creature hissed. You are weak. I'm still standing, Aaron said. You won't be for long. The creature rose to its full height, towering over the chamber like a demon from nightmare, its wings unfurled, broken and full of holes, and its voice filled the entire space with dread. The old thrones cracked further. The glowing sphere above the room began to dim. Aaron's heart raced. His legs felt heavy, but he didn't run. He knew somehow that running wasn't even possible. The door was sealed. The city above was resting on the bones of this prison. And this thing, this fallen, wanted to break free. From behind him, the voice of the chamber returned. Do not fight, with fear. Flame answers only purpose. What is yours, bearer? Aaron stared at the beast, his mind filled with images of his crew's bodies burned and scattered. He remembered being chained in the fortress. He remembered the blood running through the sand. He remembered how none of it had made sense. Until now. I didn't come to be a hero, Aaron said. I came because I survived. I came because I was left behind. He opened his hand. The mark burst into brilliant light, flooding the chamber. The lines in the stone walls lit again. The energy pulsed like thunder in his bones. The fallen screamed as the light touched it, retreating slightly, its claws raised to shield its face. Aaron stepped forward. But maybe that's why I was chosen. Not because I'm strong, but because I didn't stop. The floor cracked again as the fallen struck, sending a wave of force toward him. Aaron dove aside, rolling over broken stone. He landed hard, gasping, but held up his hand again. A shield of glowing symbols formed just in time to block a second blow. "You are a candle in a storm," the creature roared. "You will burn out like all the others." "Then let's find out," Aaron growled. With a cry, he raised his hand to the ceiling. The chamber answered. The light grew brighter. From the stone walls, old weapons appeared, phantoms of flame and memory. One floated to his side, shaped like a spear made of pure fire. He caught it. The test had become a war. The spear of flame burned in Aaron's hand, yet it didn't hurt. It felt weightless, like light made solid. The symbols on the shaft matched the ones etched into his skin, glowing in rhythm with his heartbeat. Around him, the ancient chamber trembled as the fallen shifted again, dragging its massive form closer. The monster towered above him, eyes like twin furnaces, mouth dripping black smoke. Its limbs were made of scorched bone and shattered armor from long-dead worlds. Each step it took cracked the stone beneath. The chained light above them dimmed further, flickering as if afraid. Aaron gripped the spear tighter and charged forward. The fallen roared and swung one of its clawed hands. Aaron dodged, barely missing the edge of a jagged blade. He rolled, slid under the creature's chest and thrust the spear upward. The weapon struck the blackened flesh, cutting deep. For the first time, the beast howled in pain. Bright golden, fire spread from the wound and the monster stumbled back. "Impossible," the fallen hissed. "That flame died when your kind betrayed me. It cannot live again." Aaron backed away, breathing hard. "Then maybe you should ask why it chose me." The creature snarled and opened its wings. A blast of dark energy exploded outward, throwing Aaron across the chamber. He crashed into one of the shattered thrones, stone cracking under his weight. Blood ran from his temple. His vision blurred. The spear rolled from his hand. The fallen moved in, dragging itself over the cracked floor, fire rising in its mouth. "You are nothing," it whispered. "Just a man playing God." Aaron looked at the spear glowing a few feet away. He reached for it, but his hand trembled. His muscles ached. He wasn't trained for this. He was a survivor, not a warrior. But something deep inside burned. A memory that didn't belong to him. Visions of other battles, other bearers, other flames. He heard voices, echoes of old warriors. "Stand. Rise. You are not alone." He forced himself up. The mark on his hand flared again and the spear lifted on its own, flying back into his grip. The chamber pulsed with energy. The crack in the floor widened. Mist poured in, but now the mist glowed with golden sparks, not just black shadow. The fallen roared. "You cannot hold me forever." "Then I'll hold you long enough," Aaron shouted. He ran forward again, ducking under a blast of flame. With a powerful leap, he stabbed the spear into the monster's throat. The light exploded, pushing the creature back. The chamber's walls lit with runes, and the seal above pulsed like a star. Outside, the ground above the ruined city cracked. Warriors still kneeling looked up in shock as light burst from the statue at the plaza's center. The sky trembled. Back. Inside, the fallen shrieked and slammed Aaron against the floor. The spear was torn from his grip. The creature's claw pinned him down. "You burn, but you bleed," it whispered. Aaron's breath grew shallow. He tried to move, but his limbs wouldn't respond. "You will not die a hero," the creature said. "You will die forgotten, like all the others." Suddenly the chamber echoed with a third voice, one that hadn't spoken in eons. Not this one. The crystal above shattered, and a wave of pure white light poured from the ceiling. It struck the fallen directly, forcing it backward. The beast screamed and retreated, clawing at the walls as if trying to escape. Aaron lay still, blinking up at the light. Who? He whispered. You opened the seal, the voice answered. Now you are the flame. But the final choice is near. Aaron closed his eyes, the mark on his hand glowing even in sleep. The battle was not won, but the war had just begun. Hours passed in silence beneath the ruins. No footsteps echoed, no voices stirred, only the faint glow of the ancient. Runes pulsed gently across the chamber floor like a sleeping heart beating slow and steady. Aaron lay where he had fallen. His body ached with every breath. His skin was bruised, ribs likely cracked. The mark on his hand had dimmed, its fire softened, but not gone. He blinked slowly, consciousness returning like waves lapping the edge of a drowned memory. Above him, the shattered crystal was gone, but in its place light now drifted from the ceiling like falling stars. Gentle, peaceful. The monster had been pushed back. Not defeated, not sealed, only stunned. Aaron sat up slowly. He coughed, wiped blood from his mouth and winced at the deep pain in his side. His thoughts were heavy, full of questions. Why him? Why now? What had he become? He looked at his hand again. The mark still pulsed faintly, no longer violent. It felt aware. A new voice spoke behind him, this time soft, female and real. You lived, she said. Aaron turned sharply but winced in pain as he moved. The lead warrior from the surface stood near the tunnel entrance. Her armor was dusty. Her expression was unreadable. She had come alone. You opened the gate? Aaron asked. No, she replied. It opened for me. After the sky cracked, she stepped forward cautiously, glancing at the still glowing walls. I had to see. I had to know if the stories were true, if a human could really hold the flame. And now you've seen, Aaron said, standing shakily. She looked at him, his bloodied face, torn coat, and the mark still glowing on his palm. I don't understand it, she said. We were taught the flame was a myth, that no one could bear it anymore. I didn't ask to, he said. Your people hunted me, chained me. Now this thing down here, this fallen, it's waking, and I'm the only one it listens to, or hates, she said. Aaron smirked slightly. Both, probably. She walked further into the chamber, her boots echoing on the cracked floor. What did it say to you? She asked. That it was betrayed, that we locked it away, that it wants revenge. And do you believe it? Aaron hesitated. I believe it's dangerous. I believe if it breaks free, none of us survive. She looked at him for a long moment. Then what now? I don't know, he admitted. The voice, whatever controls this chamber, it said I am the flame now. But it also said the choice is coming. I think the seal is failing. I think I'm the key to stopping it or letting it loose. Silence fell between them. The warrior removed one of her gauntlets. Her hand trembled slightly. We raised 300 spears to kill you, she said, quietly. But I think the real war was never with you. Aaron's voice was low. No, it's with what's coming. She looked at the markings on the ground, glowing, ancient, beautiful. Will you fight it again? If it rises? Aaron met her gaze. If I fall, your world burns. That's what the voice said. She nodded, then did something unexpected. She bent one knee and lowered her head. Then we kneel not because of fear, but because we understand now. Aaron stared, unsure what to say. A moment later, others entered the chamber, more warriors. Not all 300, but enough. They had followed her, and they knelt too. The man they once tried to kill now stood alone, half broken, half burning, carrying a fire from before their ancestors' time. And despite the pain, despite the fear, Aaron stood tall. Above them, the chamber dimmed again. The fallen was still there, still waiting, still watching. Far above the hidden chamber, the skies began to change. Clouds twisted unnaturally, shaped by forces older than wind. Lightning flashed without thunder. The warriors who hadn't followed their leader underground stood at the edge of the ruins, watching the sky with unease. They had knelt hours ago, but now they stood uncertain again. Something had awakened, and something was coming. Inside the Hall of Judgment, Aaron looked across the warriors who now knelt before him. Their faces were full of questions, but not anger. For the first time, he saw fear not directed at him, but at what lay beneath them all. The lead warrior stood and approached. "They will not believe us," she said. "The others, the high command, the priest clans, they will say the flame is a trick, that you are a weapon, not a warning." "Then they're not listening," Aaron replied. She nodded. "But if you want the world to listen, you'll need more than fire. You'll need proof." Aaron turned and looked at the runes still glowing in the stone. "There's a place deeper," he said. "The voice told me, deeper than this chamber. It holds memory, a vision of what came before, of what the flame sealed." She frowned. "You want to go lower?" "I have to," he said. "If they won't believe my words, maybe they'll believe what the world itself shows them. But the fallen, it's waking slowly. If I wait too long, it'll break through with no warning." She gave a slow nod, then turned to the others. "Prepare yourselves. We go deeper." Aaron looked at her. "You don't have to follow. We raised spears against you," she said. "Now we carry guilt. Let us carry something else too." They descended past the broken thrones and the glowing seal. The walls grew darker, colder. The light from Aaron's mark was the only guide. As they moved downward, the air shifted. It felt thick, like stepping into water. A pressure that made their ears ring and their thoughts slow. They reached a chamber smaller than the last, round and covered in mirrors made of smooth black glass. In the center, a pedestal with an open flame hovered without fuel or heat. Aaron stepped forward and touched it. The flame flickered. Suddenly the walls came alive. The glass mirrors turned into windows of memory. The warriors gasped. They saw the past. They saw the creature, the fallen, rising over ruined worlds, its fire spreading like plague. Cities melting, skies torn apart, species broken under its shadow. They saw the flame bearers, not humans, but beings older than any race now known, standing together, marked like Aaron. And they saw one flamebearer sacrifice himself to lock the creature away, burning his own soul to power the seal. "That was the first," Aaron said quietly. Then the visions shifted. A new memory played. A ship crashing. A human climbing from wreckage. Aaron's face, young, bleeding, confused. He found the ruins. He touched the stone. The mark chose him. The warriors stared in silence. One of them stepped forward. This is real." Aaron turned. "This is why I came, not to rule, not to fight your people, but because something ancient is tied to me. I didn't know it at first. I just wanted to survive, but now..." He looked up at the ceiling as another tremor shook the ground. "Now I know. If we don't stand together, everything above us will fall." Suddenly, the light from the mirrors died. The flame above the pedestal vanished, and a voice whispered through the stone, "It's awake." The chamber shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. The glowing runes above began to flicker wildly. The fallen no longer waited. It was rising. The stone shook beneath their feet. The black glass mirrors shattered one by one, their visions gone. Aaron steadied himself as dust and sparks fell from the ceiling. The flickering runes overhead glowed brighter for a moment, then went dark. The silence that followed felt heavier than sound. The fallen was no longer dreaming. It was waking. The lead warrior drew her blade and looked to Aaron. "If it rises, now we won't reach the surface in time. Then we hold it here," Aaron said. He turned toward the tunnel they had entered from. The path was already beginning to split, hairline cracks spreading across the walls. The seal that had bound the creature for thousands of years was coming undone. Not tomorrow. Not in hours. Now. Back in the Hall of Judgment, the remaining warriors above had seen the glow vanish and felt the quake beneath them. Their commander had not returned. The sky above the ruined city was now swirling with strange colors. Pale, green and deep violet clouds spiraled like a wound in the sky. A horn sounded across the plains, not from the human side, from the war camps of the alien lords who had sent the warriors below. Reinforcements were arriving. But they didn't know the truth. They believed the flame meant destruction. They believed the man with the glowing hand was the enemy. Aaron didn't know that. But he could feel something shifting above. He looked toward the cracks now forming across the floor of the lower chamber. "It's coming up through the old roots," he said. One of the younger warriors, beside him, stepped forward. "We'll fight with you." "You might not come back," Aaron warned. "We already chose to kneel," she replied. "Now we choose to stand." The ground split open with a deafening crack. From beneath the stone, a clawed hand burst upward, black, jagged, burning with red fire. The fallen's roar filled the underground like a wave. Heat flooded the chamber. The walls glowed red as the creature rose, pulling itself toward the surface. Aaron raised his hand, and the mark flared once more. But this time, it responded differently. Not just light, voices. The voices of past bearers, their memories, their rage, their will. He felt them surge through his arm, into his chest, into his breath. He raised both hands now, and the chamber answered. Weapons of light formed again, swords, spears, hammers, all floating, waiting to be claimed. The warriors beside him reached out and took them without hesitation. Their old weapons had no power here. But these were forged from the flame itself. As the fallen dragged itself into full view, its burning eyes locked onto Aaron. "You are not the first," it growled. "I'll be the last," Aaron answered. It lunged. Aaron raised a barrier of flame just long enough for the others to spread out. The creature struck, its claws clashing with shields of glowing light. Warriors fell back, some knocked aside by the raw force, but they rose again. Above ground, the army had arrived. Thousands of armored soldiers, beasts of war, and high commanders. They saw the sky bleeding color and the city crumbling. They saw a blinding light bursting up through the stone. They prepared to attack. One general raised his hand. "Bring it down. Burn the ruins. Kill the bearer." But one old priest stepped forward. His eyes had seen the mark before, in a text no one believed. "Wait," the priest said. "If we strike now, we may release what he holds back." The general hesitated. The ground below shook again. Far beneath them, Aaron faced the beast alone in the center as the warriors circled the monster. His body burned with power he didn't fully understand, but it no longer mattered. The fallen wanted freedom. Aaron would give it fire. The battle beneath the city had become a storm of light and shadow. The fallen roared with fury as it tore through stone and fire alike, its limbs like pillars of smoke, its claws glowing with molten heat. Every movement shattered the ground. Every scream turned air into pressure. Yet the warriors stood firm, Aaron among them, leading the charge with the mark burning brighter than ever before. The flame weapons clashed against the darkness. Each strike left behind trails of golden fire. Aaron moved faster than his wounds should allow, dodging the monster's sweeping arms and slashing with the spear he no longer held, because the spear had become part of him, a weapon drawn from the mark itself. One of the warriors was thrown across the chamber. Another was caught and slammed to the ground, but still they fought. They didn't fight for glory now. They fought for their people, for the sky above, for the truth that had been hidden for generations. Up above, on the surface, the army stood at the edge of the ancient city. The swirling sky cracked with lightning. That didn't belong to weather. Commanders readied the signal to launch the assault. Giant cannons were turned toward the ruins. A lone priest raised a voice against them. "If you strike now, you will open the door for what he is keeping buried." The high general stared at the growing storm and hesitated. "If he fails, we all die anyway." Below, Aaron saw the cracks widen under the fallen's feet. The seal was failing fast. Stone plates fell into the pit. If the creature reached the surface now with its full strength, there would be no stopping it. He leapt forward, driving the spear deep into the creature's chest. It roared and threw him off, but the wound glowed bright and didn't close. Something had changed. The weapon had pierced more than flesh. It had reached memory. Aaron rolled to his feet. "You said we betrayed you," he shouted at the beast. "But you don't get to twist the story," the fallen hissed, dark mist curling from its mouth. "You are dust, a spark. I will snuff you out." "You already tried," Aaron answered, "and I'm still here." He raised his hand high. The mark pulsed like a sun. Around him, the broken chamber responded. The runes returned to life, not flickering now, but solid, firm, final. The floor beneath the fallen cracked deeper. The walls began to hum. The voice of the chamber returned, louder than ever. "You are the last bearer. If you choose to seal it, you must give everything." Aaron didn't blink. "Then take everything." The mark on his hand spread across his chest, up his neck to his face. Flames poured from his body, not burning skin, but consuming what he was. The other warriors watched in shock as his eyes turned white gold, no longer human. Aaron was no longer just a man. He was the flame. The fallen struck again, but this time, the blow never landed. The light erupted from Aaron's body in a blast so bright, the entire chamber vanished. The floor fell inward. The creature screamed as it was pulled downward, light burning through every part of it. Above, the earth cracked wide open in the city center. The army braced, but then froze. A column of golden fire exploded from the ruins, shooting into the clouds. The strange colors in the sky faded. The winds calmed. The storm vanished. The priest dropped to his knees. He sealed it. Silence fell across the land. Far below, the chamber no longer shook. The crack had closed. The runes dimmed. But Aaron was gone. All that remained was the mark, glowing softly in the stone where he had stood, and those who had followed him stood quietly, not in grief, but in respect. The ruins above the ancient city had fallen silent. The army that had come to destroy now stood in stunned silence, their war machines still, their commanders speechless. The swirling skies had cleared. The strange storm was gone. At the heart of the plaza, where 300 warriors once raised spears to kill a single man, a ring of golden fire still glowed on the ground. Not wild or violent, calm, pulsing softly like a breath. In the center of it, the mark remained, etched into the stone like it had always been there. But Aaron was nowhere to be seen. The priest stepped forward, past the generals who still hesitated to act. He knelt beside the glowing mark and touched the edge of it. His fingers did not burn. Instead, a warmth ran through his hand, up his arm, into his chest. And he saw it. A memory. Not his own. Aaron standing in front of the fallen, the seal breaking, his body burning with light, not pain. His final words before the fire took him. "Let me be the last." The vision faded. The priest stood slowly and turned to the warriors, who had followed Aaron underground. They emerged from the broken tunnel, scarred, exhausted, and changed. They carried no trophies. They had no victory cries. But their eyes told the story. "He sealed it," one of them said. "He gave everything." The army that had come to strike paused. One of the commanders asked, "And what is he now? Dead?" The lead warrior, the same one who once stood first to kill him, answered quietly, "No, he is flame now, not gone, just part of what keeps us safe." Days passed, then weeks. The city was never rebuilt. It was left as it was, a place of memory. The armies withdrew. The high command issued no orders. The stories began to spread, of a human who bore the mark of a myth, who stood alone against a forgotten monster, and chose to save even those who hunted him. But something else began to happen. Across distant outposts and old ruins, when conflict stirred and war brewed, the mark sometimes appeared, briefly on a wall, a shield, even the ground beneath someone's feet. Not burning, just glowing, for a moment, then gone. And always. Just before disaster struck, some say it was a warning, others say it was a sign, but to those who truly knew what had happened in the city beneath the stone, it meant something else. That Aaron's fire had not faded. It watched. It waited. And it would rise again if the darkness ever dared to return. Kyatgu. Warriors who once raised 300 spears now taught a different story, not of fear, but of a man who survived when he should have died, who forgave when he had every right to destroy, who chose to become the shield between the world and its own forgotten sins. They built no statue. They carved no name. But everywhere, the flame appeared. The message was the same. He knelt to no one, but we knelt for him.